PK52, the Saturday morning meeting. We're going to shift gears a little bit, and I'm going to go personal this week. So for any of you that follow me on social media, Facebook or Twitter, you know that the last week, I dedicate one of my weeks a year to a Wounded Warrior Foundation called Halo Warrior Foundation, and we call the event Weekend to Remember. Let me tell you who I worked for last week. I worked for Sergeant Dana Bowman. Let me tell you the story of this man. This man was a warrior. He was an Army Ranger. He was a hero. Once he got to the end of his Ranger career, he decided that he liked to jump out of airplanes. And he jumped out of a lot of airplanes. He jumped out of so many airplanes that he actually qualified to be a jumper in the Golden Knights. So if you know anything about this group, if you've ever been to an air show in your city, and the two jumpers that jump out of the plane that do the diamond braid with the smoke at terminal velocity. And terminal velocity on a jump is a little less than 300 miles per hour. Thousands of jumps, thousands of people and children entertained around the world. Sergeant Bowman was amazing. So his career was unbelievably energized by being able to recruit people and to be able to show how amazing our military really is. One day, after thousands of jumps with his partner, something happened in the air and they collided. As I understand, the partner's shoulder was detached from the body. His partner bled out before he hit the ground. He was dead once he got to the ground. Dana's legs were cut off above the knee like a scalpel, completely cut off. He was bleeding. They got him. They put tourniquets on him. They got him to the hospital. He was at Walter Reed recovering. The doctors had clearly told him that, you know, he would be a double amputee all of his life. And he said, well, I'm going to re-enlist in the military. And they go, you're not going to be able to go back in the military. You don't have any legs. This man would sneak out of his hospital room at night when everybody was dark and go out and work on the outside equipment to get himself back in shape. And he re-enlisted in the armed forces as a double amputee. He does thousands of jumps all over the United States, promoting the Warrior Foundation. So that's a hero that I worked for last week. And it's unbelievable when you have 50 warriors from around the nation come in and you get to give your time back to people that made a giant sacrifice. A 21-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 19-year-old that enlisted and went overseas and got their legs blown off. We were very fortunate. Joey Jones joined us for the first day. Joey's lost both of his legs, and he's now famous on Fox News. He's an amazing person to listen to the news from. He was a bomb tech. So you never know who you're going to meet, and it's amazing. Second chapter of this is I've always told you at least once a year that at the beginning of each year, you need to plan some time for yourself. I know selling cars takes a lot of your time. And I know, I asked somebody, how many hours a week do you work? And they actually answered me with a number. Oh, about 45, 50 hours a week. That's not correct. If you're in the car business and you're selling cars for a living, it's a 24-hour-a-day job. You go to bed at night worried about the car deal you either made or didn't make or what you have to do tomorrow. It's hard to go to sleep because you're still in the car business. You wake up in the morning thinking about the things you got to do today. So I know you dream about the car business too. So I'm saying that the car business is a 24-hour-a-day commitment. And that's just the way it is. In order to be successful, that's the attitude you have to have. So I say take a week off or 2 weeks off and go do something you love. Do something you've never done before. Visit every place in the United States. It's amazing. Do something for yourself and for your family. Plan it and don't cancel it. Cancel a day at work. Don't cancel your vacation or your time away. I met a 19-year-old girl that worked for Toyota Nashua. And she was really 19, like 19, full of energy, full of, I can solve the problems of the world. And she was selling cars for a living. So at a very early age. It was funny because we became friends and we communicated off and on. If I was in town, we've done some videos together. She sent me her videos when she did videos for the dealership and, always critiqued them. And there are so many people that hate training. They don't like to train. They got a skill set, but they don't want to work hard to work on their skill set. They want to use their natural ability, and you're all holding yourself back. The greatest athletes in the world train more than they play, train more than they can compete. So if you admire athletes and you watch sports blindly, they're not going to send you any money, and you buy the jerseys for your favorite players, understand that their commitment to training is probably 5 to 10 times more than their commitment to the actual game. And so that's the same way you should do in any field. No matter what you do for a living, training makes you better. She would ask me, what should I do next? What should I do next? And it was funny. I give people recommendations all the time that I know works. I've seen them work or I've done them. Most people don't do it. But if I gave her something, she did. I talked to her about working the service drive, talking to the service manager. And my understanding is she went back and set up with a service manager. In the first week, she sold 8 cars out of service. And you know what? That's somebody just jumping right in, having a great overall personality. So at 22 years old, she took my advice. She went down to Florida. She and her family, her name is Lindsay Partridge. They're big boating people. They really enjoy the water, because if you follow them on social media, they were always at the lake, always enjoying the water. She went down to Florida with her boyfriend. They rented a boat, and they went out through the break. If you've ever been in the ocean, the break is pretty intense. And somehow the boat hit the break. The boat was tossed. She hit her head and was thrown out of the boat. And she passed away at 22 years old. I got to be honest with you. I was really looking forward to watching where she was going to go in the car business, because it was unlimited. I highly anticipated that she was going to end up running a dealership and probably getting a piece as an owner of a dealership. And that's just the energy. She never stopped. Her funeral is going to be next Tuesday, and I'm committed to an online presentation. I intended to go. Normally I don't do that because there's so many of you out there, and I just don't, but I felt compelled to go. But I got to be honest with you. She passed away enjoying her life. Way too soon. She was way too amazing of a person. If you knew her, you loved her. And it just goes to say, what are you doing with your life? You're making more money right now than you ever made before in any sales field. I don't care what field you're in. Because of demand right now, we're getting paid more than we've ever been paid before. Do something for your family. Do something for yourself, because you're not guaranteed tomorrow. PK52, the Saturday Morning Meeting.